Hi everyone, it's Evangeline here at etrailer, and today we'll be taking a look at how the Saris MHS 2-bike platform rack fits on the 2022 Lincoln Navigator. So the MHS is a super heavy duty bike rack which also has a design that makes it super easy to add on another tray. So it's kind of a modular system. But we're going to focus on how it fits with the Navigator, and one of the main things with this is it is heavy and the tilt isn't that far for our large hatch on our car. I'll show you what you mean, or I'll show you what I mean. We'll pull this lever here and we'll drop it down to its tilt, and then we're going to open up the hatch. Now I do have my mountain bike here, and it does have 29-inch long handlebars. So you can see it gets about that far before I have to push our bike out of the way to clear the hatch. Let's move it up manually. There we go. So now we have clearance to go all the way up. And then now we can get into our hatch, grab whatever we need. If we need to hang out here and change out our shoes, or maybe we just want to grab our helmets, our waters, our backpacks, we can do so real quick without taking the bikes off. So here we're going to close our hatch. You can see that clearance with the handlebars, and we're going to lift it back up. Ideally, you want to hold on to the bike rack's frame when you bring this up. It's also a heavy-duty rack with how it holds those bikes in place. So this is going to be a dual wheel mount design where there's zero frame contact, and for extra stability, you also have a front wheel chock and a sliding rear wheel strap. So when you want to take the bike off, you start at the rear wheel strap, you press this lever here to loosen the strap, and then I like to bring it out to the side and just slide that out of the way before going over to our dual wheel mount. So you gotta press on this lever, show you this way, and then push that mount out. So press lever, push out. This can actually go all the way down to make it easier for some of those bikes. You want to make it as easy as possible to unload them, especially with how high the hitch receiver is on our Lincoln Navigator. So this is a good example of using that design to help you out. Once the bike is off, you're now ready to hit the trails. Notice the design of those trays. So you are limited to where that front wheel chock is, but you also have those little grooves on the inside for those different tire widths. So the maximum tire width you can carry with this is going to be up to 5 inches. And then the maximum wheelbase, see how it starts clicking right now to ratchet it into place? The maximum wheelbase is 53 inches. In the center, you also have some cable locks you can wrap around your bikes and keep them in place. Well, with all that in mind, you can see how it works for a variety of frames and weights, but it also takes up a good amount of space, especially if you have the add-on on. So let's take some measurements here. Measuring first from our bumper to the end of the rack, I have it at 37.5 inches. So if you have a small garage, this is going to take up a little bit more space than others. When you are lifting those bikes up, the clearance from the ground to where the tray is, that's going to be 27.5 inches, and that's how high you're going to have to lift up those 60-pound bikes. Now, if you're limited on space, though, or you want to make it easier for yourself to store, what you can do is you pull that lever, but instead of letting it drop down to a tilt, you can keep it upright like this, or go all the way up against your car. So, measurements in this position. Length that it now adds to the back of our Navigator is going to be 13 inches, or a foot and an inch. It does look like it comes close, but there's actually plenty of clearance there. About 4 inches of space. And with it in this position, though, it is pretty bulky compared to some bike racks. So notice where our tail lights are. They sit right in the middle of those, so you'll still see the lights. but you will not be able to see from your backup camera or your license plate. So if that is a major issue for you, I recommend just going ahead and driving around with it in the all the way down position. Let's bring this back up and talk about the security. So we have an anti-rattle bolt in place, and this uses a 5/8 inch socket. You also have a lock, and this sits close enough where you can still have full access to your wiring. That lock is going to be key to the lock that is on the bike rack. That way both your bikes and your rack are secured with one key. So that right there was a quick overview of the MHS with the Navigator. Check out the full demo if you want a full depth full review of the bike rack itself. My personal opinion though is that I wish it tilted further away. It did clear with our bike, but I had to make sure to push that out of the way with the larger hatch of the Navigator. So something worth considering if you have a heavy electric bike, but you still like that dual wheel mount design, is the Rocky Mount Skydrail as an alternative. Both of them are pretty heavy, but this one is definitely bulkier than the guide rail. On the other hand though, this has more stability features like the front wheel chock and the rear wheel strap. So it really depends on what you're looking for. Hopefully this video helped you out. This was a look at the Saris MHS 2-bike platform rack on the 2022 Lincoln Navigator.